right. Hey guys, welcome back. 大家好. And it has been a very long time, yes. And and some of you might know if you've been subscribed to the mailing list over at Cantolounge, the reason I've been on a hiatus was because I moved countries. Yay! And now I'm doing this from, and I'm currently in Canada. So it's been just a hectic couple of months trying to fit in and all that kind of good stuff. So, but anyway, we are back with a different lesson. Oh, sorry, that really should say conjunctions. Editing on the fly, guys. Not recommended. Should check your videos before you take them. Anyway, today we've got something that's hopefully going to be very useful to you guys. And this video will be a little bit long, so I would suggest that you guys just break it down, maybe into 3 sessions of watching if you want to. And as usual, you can always refer back to the blog post that accompanies this lesson. But I would go through the lesson because there are certain things that it'd be better to listen to instead of just read it in text. And there are going to be some things I will tell you guys here, but that I haven't necessarily included in the post. Nothing crucial though, but it might be good to have that extra information. Anyway, enough of me rambling on. Oh, and before we get started, if you haven't already done so, remember to click subscribe. As you can see, this channel needs subscribers, and I'd be very happy if you can help out. So all you have to do is to click the subscribe button down below, the red button. And after that, don't forget to click the bell button as well, so you can stay updated and stay up to date, with the latest updates and videos in Cantolounge. Okay, and you'll see an icon that looks like this. All right, so let's get started. Today's lesson, if you remember, last time we talked about modals, and that was already extremely examples heavy. However, in this lesson, we're going to go one step further and talk about even more examples, because at this point, really, and especially with Cantonese, it's important to have examples to illustrate, what we're talking about, in order to give you not just a sense of how to use that structure, but some possible scenarios in which, these structures are used in real life. So this video will be long, as I said before. This will probably be 1 hour long, more than that once I finish. But again, my point when designing these lessons, my goal, is not to make these as short as possible. It's to fit in whatever content needs to be fitted in a coherent, like a logical unit. So if it takes an hour, it takes an hour. And once again, I would recommend that you guys split it up maybe into 3 sittings, so you're not like taking a huge amount of information all in one sitting. Okay. All right, I hope you guys are ready, and maybe you have a cup of coffee if that's your thing, because we are going to be in for one heck of a journey. So, today's topic, conjunctions. Yes, I know, not the sexiest word in the entire world. So, for those of you who don't particularly like grammar jargon, let's just kind of like unjargon this for you. So, you might know conjunctions by another term, linking words. And of course, by linking words, we mean, words like and, but, or, because, and so on and so forth. That basically, as the name suggests, link 2 individual phrases together and showing some sort of a correlation between them. So for example, and would show that there are 2 things that it's like a, and then it's a list, right, of things. But would mean some sort of a contrast, right? And or it would imply a choice, and so on and so forth. Now, we are going to use the term conjunction to kind of like group this set of words that we've chosen for today's presentation, but I'm going to use that word a little bit loosely, just because there are certain words that they don't necessarily fall under that umbrella, but because they're so useful, right? They're so useful that they again, this just points to the difference, between English and Cantonese in terms of structures and what people say, how they're used, and all that. So we will be grouping some other useful words under this big umbrella as well. Okay, so please bear with me. But and of course, we'll be doing everything, all of those in Cantonese today. Okay. So you can think of the video as like the audio, the blog post, very comprehensive one. It took me quite a while to write it, but with audio, based on some chosen examples and well, with portions that I cut because some examples were a little bit long, and with a couple more explanations. In particular, I think that will be the highlight of this video, as opposed to just listening to the blog. Oh, sorry, the reading. Listening to the blog. What was I saying? Reading the blog. Excuse me. Okay. All right. So let's get started. So diving right in. So conjunction number 1, we have 為咗. And I presented these in no particular order at all. It was just like a collection of terms I used when I was teaching Cantonese, and I just collected all of them and put it all in this one blog post. Okay, so 為咗 means in order to. Okay, so for example, we have just read the sentence first. Actually, before that, imagine that you're going on a trip, but it's kind of like your first time going on a long distance flight, so you want to hurry it up, and maybe you're talking to someone about it, and you'd say 為咗避免趕唔切班機，我特登早咗2個鐘到機場。為咗避免趕唔切班機，我特登早咗2個鐘到機場。Right, so in order to 為咗 avoid 避免趕唔切 missing my flight 班機 ban is the classifier. I 特登 deliberately 早咗2個鐘 to be earlier by 2 hours 到機場 at the airport. Okay, so that will be number 1. And as you can see there, applying these conjunctions, these linking words, it's not that complicated. All you do is kind of like just sub them in. And the word order doesn't really change that much either when compared to English, which is why I'm kind of like doing this in bulk, as opposed to if I were presenting a language like Japanese or something. Now those, if I put everything in like one long blog post, that would be disastrous. But with Cantonese, just because it's not very complex in terms of their changes and all that, as you can see, it's barely distinguishable. It's practically indistinguishable than learning a new word. Okay. All right, moving on. Number 2, 同埋 and. And when I say and, I mean when you're listing things. Okay. So for example, I say an apple, an orange, and a pear. That kind of an and. So for example, I might say, imagine, I don't know, again, you might just be talking to a friend, and your friend might be asking, what do you eat for breakfast? And you might answer, 我朝頭早會食生果、麵包同埋雞蛋. Right? So I, in the morning, I hope you guys remember the word order from lesson 7 that we talked about all the way back in Cantonese word order. 我朝頭早 I in the morning usually eat 會食生果 fruit, 麵包 bread, 同埋 and remember listing 雞蛋 eggs. Okay. Moving on, number 3, 而且. Now this also means and the difference between this and the previous and is 而且 is used to link phrases together, so those are individual like standalone phrases, whereas the previous and would be used to link individual words, like in a list, once again. Okay, so let's take a look at an example. So, I don't know, maybe you're talking about language learning in this case, and you're a language lover and you're advocating for language learning. Someone asks, well, why should we learn language, and what's the point of doing it? Right? You might say something like, 學識講多一種語言可以幫我哋開拓視野， 而且有利於延遲老人痴呆嘅症狀。Okay? So 學識 to learn to do something， 講多一種語言 to speak one more language， 可以幫我哋 can help us 開拓視野 to broaden our vision or horizons, a better translation. 而且 and, right? So we're connecting two phrases. 有利於to be beneficial to 延遲 to delay 老人痴呆嘅症狀。症狀 means symptoms, right? So the symptoms of Alzheimer's. All right, moving on. Number 4, 跟住. Now this also kind of translates to and as well, but it's more like and then. So in this case, you're also kind of like connecting phrases, but you're connecting things that you actions that you would do in a particular order. So for example, I don't know, I eat breakfast and I change and I head out, right? So it's like a sequence of actions. In this case, the and would translate to 跟住. So for example, 我一般會喺屋企做咗熱身運動先，跟住落去附近嘅公園跑半個鐘。So I 一般 usually 會喺屋企 at home 做咗熱身運動先。So do warm-up exercises first, 跟住落去 and then, okay, sequence of actions, A, then B, 落去go down, 附近嘅公園 a park nearby, the park nearby, 跑半個鐘 to run, jog for half an hour. Now, some people might ask, what's the difference? How do you tell if it's like jog or run? To be more precise, like if you're in Hong Kong, you'll see that 跑 actually means run. 慢跑, which means slow running, a.k.a. jog, is, well, jog. But you can usually infer from context, right? And I think the notions of, jogging versus running is not that clearly distinguished in Cantonese as it is in English. Anyway, moving on. So number 5, we have 但係不過. These two are very similar, and I would say that for the most part, okay, you can consider them interchangeable to mean but. Okay. Forget about the, few cases that you might not be able to use them. I mean, I can't really think of them off the top of my head, but if you do make a mistake, it is not going to be the end of the world. So don't worry. For example, like you might imagine that you were going on a trip, right? You went to Taiwan recently, and then you're talking about your trip to Taiwan with a friend, and a friend asks, how was it, right? And you might say something like, or you might just be talking about travel in general. Actually, this actually does imply, that you did go to Taiwan. So you might say something like 我冇去過台灣. So prior to this trip that you took, you've never been to Taiwan before. 但係到咗之後，一啲陌生感都冇, right? So I have never been to Taiwan before, right? 但係 but 到咗之後 when I got there, when I arrived, 一啲陌生感 都冇. I didn't feel any unfamiliarity or foreignness, right? All right, so that is that. Moving on, number 6, 同什麼什麼都冇，冇什麼什麼亦都冇. So this would be roughly how I would translate neither nor. And if you look at these, they're not very, nice mappings. And if you've ever looked in any grammar book, you won't see these kind of translations. So again, this kind of just represents how different the structures are in Cantonese and in English, and how different people come to think of these structures. For example, neither nor is something that you would teach a student learning English, but the Cantonese equivalent, not something that is usually mentioned in class, strangely enough. So anyway, I digress. Moving on. to the example. A very generic sentence. We don't even need a scenario for this. So for example, you might say 我冇去過法國，亦都冇去過加拿大. So I have never been to France, nor have I, 亦都冇been to Canada, 去過加拿大. Or, I've neither been to France nor to Canada, right? Very straightforward. Moving on. 一係就 something something, 一係就 something something. So this is like either or, right? So imagine, I don't know, you're talking about the mobile devices. And of course, when we think about mobile devices, it's all Apple or Samsung, so you might find yourself in a place where you might say 消費者一係就係用蘋果，一係就係用三星。So 消費者 consumers 一係就 either 係用蘋果 use Apple or Apple devices， 一係就係 or 用三星 Samsung devices. Okay, fairly straightforward. And the astute reader might kind of see that the way that they translated these brand names are fairly different. So Apple is translated literally, like an apple in Cantonese is also 蘋果, whereas Samsung is translated to as Samsung. Is that usually the case? I can't generalize, but Samsung or Samsung in Korean literally maps to the Chinese characters Samsung, so that's why this was transliterated instead of having like a translation based on meaning, right? So you'll see both. Okay, once again I digress. Moving on, 或者 again another or. So how is this different? Well, let's have a look. That was either or, and this is or. Yes, excuse me. I've been suffering from memory issues lately. My memory used to be a lot better when I was a kid. But again, I digress. So, for example, you might say something like, you are, imagine you're the someone who works in the company, you're talking to the events coordinator in the company, and the weather is bad, right? And so in response to, thinking about bookings for the day for, hosting a function, you might say something like, 我建議臨時喺附近揾個室內嘅場地，或者直接取消個活動。So in English, 我建議 I recommend 臨時喺 temporarily 喺附近in the vicinity 揾個室內嘅場地 find an indoors venue 或者 or 直接 directly 取消個活動 cancel the event. Okay, again, very straightforward, just substitution, right? Okay, moving on. Number 9, 定係 again, this is or, and if you'll see in the parentheses, questions. This or is different than the previous or. This or you can only use in questions. Okay, so let's have a look at an example. Imagine like you're just having a conversation with a friend, I don't know, and one day you feel maybe philosophical, you might ask your friend. In the full like blog post version, it's supposed to be prepended with if you could go back in time, right? And then the question comes out. But let's forget about that part for now and focus on the 定係。你想選擇改變定係保留你嘅過去呢？你想 you want 選擇改變 to choose to change 定係 or 保留你嘅過去呢？ To keep your past, right? So if you say 或者, in this case, this is a huge no-no, okay? And this is one of these cases where I feel the distinction has to be made. But again, don't worry about it. If you make a mistake, make a mistake. The world is not going to end. Moving on, number 10, 但係 something something 依然 or alternatively you can say 仲 but something something still. For example, you were talking to a friend about another friend. So you're talking to friend B about, or you're talking to John about, I don't know, Sam. And Sam has a proclivity to bring lots of cash out. And you warned him against doing so. So you might say to John, your friend, you're very frustrated about Sam. And you might say something like,我同佢講唔好，但係佢依然塞咗成2萬蚊銀紙喺個銀包嗰度。And who knows, maybe he was robbed or something. So very frustrated. Don't know whether to cry or to laugh. So 我同佢講, so I said to him, 唔好, don't. 但係 but 佢依然 he still 塞咗 is like to stuff 塞咗成2萬蚊銀紙 around $20,000 worth of like notes 喺個銀包嗰度 in his wallet, right? So if you're wondering 銀紙, or you could say 紙幣, 銀紙 is like the colloquial version for like paper cash. 紙幣 would be like the more written version. If you're wondering how we say coins, that would be 硬幣. So as you can probably imagine, 幣 means something important. Yes, 幣means currency. 紙 is paper, so paper currency, paper notes. 硬幣 currency, 硬 means hard currency, coins. Makes sense, right? Right, moving on. Number 11, 所以, so. For example, you might say something like someone who's just come back, who's grew up overseas and speaks a little bit of Cantonese, but not that much, and comes to Hong Kong for work and for whatever reason need to speak Cantonese at the workplace. So he might say on his first day at work to colleagues, 我以前唔係成日講廣東話，所以我而家唔係太流利. So I before 以前唔係 not 成日講廣東話 always speak Cantonese 所以 so 我而家 I now 唔係太流利 am not too fluent. Okay. Moving on, number 12, 雖然 even though, this is a good one. Someone imagine who met a Spanish person let's just say Carlos, and Carlos starts speaking to you in English, and then or maybe in Cantonese, interestingly enough, and then you reply in Spanish, and Carlos is like, how do you speak Spanish? Have you lived in Spain before or any other Spanish-speaking country? And then you might answer, 雖然我未喺西班牙住過，但係我識講西班牙文. So 雖然 even though 我未 I've never or I have not yet 喺西班牙住過, in Spain lived, 但係 but 我識講西班牙文. I know how to speak Spanish. Right? And if you remember languages in Cantonese, very simple. Most of them is just a country name, country of origin, plus 文 or 語. Right? We use 文 more in Cantonese. 語 as in like 語言, that 語 is used more in Mandarin, but you might hear it. Okay, moving on. Number 13, 如果, if, another very important word. For example, again, feeling philosophical for whatever reason and just remarking, if you're in Hong Kong, this is something you might say really, because everyone is just kind of like fast, efficiency. But what about trying to slow down for a while? If you're frustrated that people just want efficiency and not appreciate the finer things in life, or just life in general, you might say, 如果我哋可以學識放慢步伐，我相信我哋可以更加深入咁體驗人生. So if, again, very simple substitution, 我哋可以 we can 學識放慢步伐。學識 means to learn how to. 放慢 means to slow down our pace 步伐。我相信 I believe that 我哋可以 we can 更加 more 深入咁 deeply 體驗人生 experience life. Okay. Moving on, number 14. 除非means unless. So, for example, someone asking you for advice, whether it's good or just in general, like for Hong Kongers, is it good? Maybe you came back, you've lived over in Northern Europe, maybe in Russia for a period of time. And someone's asking, do you recommend that Hong Kongers go over there and live? You might answer, 除非你揾到一份好工，我唔會建議喺香港人搬到北歐咁凍嘅地方住。And editing on the fly. Unless 除非你揾到 you find 一份好工 you manage to find 揾到 remember 到 is to be able to 一份好工 a good job 份 is the measure word for 工我唔會建議 I will not recommend 香港人 Hong Kongers 搬到北歐 move to 北歐咁凍嘅地方 remember this one long relative clause a place as cold as Northern Europe 住 to live right okay moving on number 15 直到 something 為止 means until this whole construct let's see how that fits into a sentence. For example, imagine that you work in a design firm and your superior might say something like, you're working on a design of a particular component for a client. 直到成個部件設計好為止 office 入邊邊個都唔準走 So this whole thing 直到什麼為止 means until, right? And you sandwich whatever you want to say after until between these the 直到 and the 為止成個部件 the entire component 設計好 is designed office 入邊邊個都 so anyone in the office nobody in the office 唔準走 can leave 準 means to be allowed to right okay bit of a dramatic example hopefully you won't hear something like this but the overtime culture in Hong Kong is pretty serious and like here in Canada after experiencing it the benefits are the notion of work-life balance it's respected again I digress number 16 moving on 就算 even if again one of my favorites so for example you might be friends and you might be talking to a friend and he's like saying oh I like her and then you jab back at him 就算佢單身我好肯定佢都唔會同你喺埋一齊 so 就算 even if she is single okay 佢單身is single in that romantic sense. It actually makes sense, right? 單 means one, son is body, one person, you're alone, so you're single. 我好肯定 I'm very certain 佢都唔會 she still won't 同你 with you 喺埋一齊 go out 喺埋一齊 is actually a fixed phrase it means to literally be with you means she won't go out with you right so that's how you translate it if you're wondering moving on number 17 excuse me 萬一 something 嘅話 in case that bit wordy but we will see that it's as useful a conjunction as any other soon so for example you might be looking for someone and you can't find him or her for whatever reason and you might at the office you might say this to the receptionist 萬一佢陣間翻嚟嘅話 so in case that 萬一嘅話 again we've got that sandwich thing going on here again in case that 佢陣間翻嚟 he later on comes back 麻煩你 please can I trouble you to 幫我 help me 同佢講聲 hello say hi please or thanks 唔該 something that we should be very familiar with now okay so again very straightforward moving on number 18 以免 translates to lesser used word in English I guess lest so for example you might say again feeling philosophical maybe parents trying to talk their dad trying to talk his daughter out of a marriage, out of a rushed marriage, after dating a guy for, I don't know, 4 or 5 months, and then, we're going to get married. Dad is concerned, rightly so. But moving on, so dad might say, 結婚係人生嘅終身大事，一定要三思而後行，以免日後悔婚。And I can already hear some people saying, that's obviously Sam. Why are you pronouncing it as Sam? As you know, Cantonese words have various readings. And those alternative readings don't necessarily come up as much, but they do in certain words. And this is one of them. 三思而後行 is a fixed phrase. Again, I think Confucius came up with it. Think thrice, 3, think, and 後行. Afterwards, action, right? So think thrice before acting. So the entire thing translates to 結婚 marriage 係人生嘅 is 人生嘅終身大事 is one of the most significant events of life, right? Again, we've got this nice relative clause going on here. 一定要 so we must 三思而後行 think thrice before making that commitment or before acting. 以免日後悔婚 lest we regret that marriage later on. Right? In order to avoid, right? That's what it means. So, 悔婚, I think people can actually see that it's, for those of you who have a bit of vocabulary, it's the combination of 後悔 and 婚姻. So we get 悔婚. Doesn't necessarily work that way, but you kind of like break it down and think of it that way to make it easier to remember. 後悔 means to regret. 婚姻, of course, means marriage. And so some people, the astute listener might ask, so what's the difference between 結婚 and 婚姻? Because he translated them both to marriage, right? Well, 結婚 is the act of marrying, so 結婚 would be a verb, whereas 婚姻, marriage, is a noun. Right. Sometimes, it's important to be flexible with translations, but just in case, it could be helpful to understand to make that distinction. All right, moving on. Number 19, 寧願 something something 都唔 rather something something. So you'd rather do A than B. So this would be the construct, right? So moving on. I remember reading like a long while ago, years ago. In an article, and it was like showing the top list of fears, and it's very interesting. Number 1, you'd expect people to fear death, but apparently that's not the case at all. Number 1 fear, I actually don't know which country it belonged to, but the number 1 fear that a lot of people have is public speaking. Very interesting. So if you were forced to go up on stage to speak, imagine you're in university and someone has to do it and you are one of these candidates, you might say something like 我寧願食一碟炒曱甴都唔願意上台演講. So我寧願 would rather 食一碟 to eat a plateful of 炒曱甴 fried cockroaches. How nice, they're fried. 都唔願意 than to or than or I'm still not willing to, but that translates better to as than 上台演講 to go on stage and make a speech, right? What some people will do to get out of doing stuff they don't like. I wonder if the person saying it will actually eat that plateful of cockroaches. It's like, if you actually do that, and the person who's in charge, I will let you off. That would be an interesting choice. Anyway, moving on. Number 20, 抑或. So whether or. This is more. I feel like this is considered more. It makes you sound a little bit more eloquent. So if you want to use it, go for it. It's a really good word. So this, imagine that a parent, maybe mom is speaking to her son and talking about the future, and it's like, son, here's the philosophical thing coming again. 你將來做掃街嘅，抑或做總統，完全係你嘅選擇。So你將來 in the future 做掃街嘅，to be a sweeper. 掃街嘅 is like 掃街嘅工作，work to do with sweeping the streets. 抑或 So whether you choose to be a sweeper or 做總統 be the president, 完全係 completely is 你嘅選擇 your choice. Right? Very interesting thing to say to a kid, but there we go. Moving on, number 21, 只要 as long as. Now that I think about it, after compiling this list, all of these are such important words that they should all be known like within the first 2 to 3 months of learning a new language. But most teachers don't really collect them and present them, so it's a bit of a shame. But hopefully that's what we're here to do, to fill in that gap for Cantonese. So imagine a master meeting an apprentice, and the apprentice is like saying, can I study under your tutelage? And the master says, 只要你願意虛心學習嘅話，師傅一定會收你為徒。So 只要 as long as 你願意 you're willing to 虛心 humbly 學習 learn. 嘅話 is optional, as with any of the 嘅話, it would, any implied ifs, but you can add it in there, just make it sound, I don't know, fuller. But it's completely up to you. 師傅 master, referring to himself, 一定will definitely 收你為徒, take you as my apprentice, right? So 收你為徒 is like a fixed, kind of like a construct expression as well, so don't try to even break it down. Okay, moving on. 22, 之前 before, very straightforward. Yeah, I imagine this is probably something that you might hear in a documentary. So the narrator might say, 專家建議瞓覺1個鐘之前最好自己預設一個放鬆嘅程序。So 專家 experts 建議 recommend that 瞓覺1個鐘之前。So sleep 1 hour before or 1 hour before sleeping. 最好 it's best to 自己預設一個 to preset or yourself preset 放鬆嘅程序, like a relaxing kind of a procedure, a routine, if you will, right? Very straightforward again, but just be careful here. Before let's see. 1 hour before you sleep, 瞓覺1個鐘之前. So maybe there's going to be a slight change in word order. So 之前 goes after, ironically. Whatever it is you want to say, right? So the phrase and then 之前. Instead of in English, you might say before you sleep, right? And in Cantonese, that'd be 你瞓覺之前. Okay. Moving on, number 23, 之後 after. So this is very symmetric, except it's for after. So just a warning, a word of caution to a child. or it's a teenager and a grown up. They just got a car and they started drinking and all that. And as parents, you might want to caution your kids against drug driving. Is that the term for it? 飲咗酒之後，千祈唔好揸車. So after 飲咗酒, after drinking, after drinking, 千祈 definitely 唔好揸車. Don't drive. Okay, 到 something 嗰陣, so by the time you do something or something happens, imagine you're talking to a friend or a colleague, right? And it's like, what did you do during the weekend? And you're saying, I was assembling a couple of apparel. Is that what you'd say? Apparatus, furniture, baby furniture, over the weekend, and we're talking about the bed. So you might say 到老婆返屋企，我返咗屋企嗰陣，我已經砌好晒張 BB 床. So as soon as sorry, was that the by the time? That's better. I was like, that sounded strange. By the time that my wife got home, so 到 something got, I remember this is another sandwich structure. By the time 老婆返屋企, my wife got home, I already 砌好晒, finished building, or putting together 張 BB 床, the baby bed. A crib, I suppose. Yeah. Okay, moving on. Again, 張 is the measure word if you're wondering. Next we have 既然. 既然 translates roughly to now that, seeing that, or since. So imagine that you're kind of like in I don't know, Toastmasters, and then you're kind of like in a group, and you or maybe a.a. and you're in a group, and who would like to share, and seeing nobody's really willing to do so, and if you're like one of those extra go-getters, you might say 既然冇人舉手嘅話，大家唔介意嘅話，就我講先啦. Since or seeing that nobody 既然 right 冇人 nobody 舉手嘅話, raise their hands, right? And again, the 嘅話you can get rid of, so you can say 既然冇人舉手, that's perfectly fine. 大家唔介意嘅話, if 大家 everyone 唔介意 doesn't mind, 就我講先啦. I speak first. Right? Don't worry too much about that 就. We will talk about that in a separate lesson, I think. Okay, and that is that. Seeing that again, this is very simple substitution, right? Hopefully, through these examples, it gives you a bit of an idea as to how these are typically used in real life. Hopefully, giving you some sort of scenario to remember these by in the process. Moving on, 曾經 once, once upon a time. So you might be, I don't know, getting in a class or something, and you're like sharing a story, an inspirational story of transformation, and you are recalling the past, and you say 我曾經都試過乜都自己一個人做. Or very simply, you're just giving advice to a friend, who's really struggling and really, who's always doing everything by himself. And you might say, I've also once, 我曾經 I've once 都試過 also tried 乜都 everything 自己一個人做, do everything by myself, right? Okay. Moving on, 以前. So this before is a different before than 之前. So this is where the notion of conjunctions for this lesson. Again, I'm using this term very, very loosely here, so I hope you guys don't mind. Okay. So this 以前 refers to something that you used to do. So for example, again, this is very generic. You might say 我以前每日食完飯之後都會喺休息室打坐15分鐘。So 我以前 before back in the day 每日 every day 食完飯之後 after eating lunch or dinner 都會 usually 喺休息室 in the resting lounge 打坐 meditate for 15 minutes 15分鐘。Okay. Hopefully maybe a couple new words here. And so again, once again, this 以前 means refers to a period of time in the past in which you used to do something habitually, or you've done something before. Okay. Moving on, 自從 something 之後 ever since. So for example, you might just be talking to, I don't know, a friend you haven't seen in a while, and or you might be like in a high school friends gathering or something, and you're just catching up, and you were talking to Jane, and then you guys were talking about Larry, and Larry has gone through a divorce, and you were just commenting to Jane how you and Larry might have been in contact, all this time, but not with Jane, so you're kind of like catching her up on the what's going on in Larry's life. And you might say 自從佢哋兩個離咗婚之後，佢哋嗰兩個小朋友變得越嚟越反叛。So ever since 自從佢哋兩個 they the two of them playing Larry and his ex-wife 離咗婚之後got a divorce 佢哋嗰兩個小朋友 so there are two children 變得 they changed to be 越嚟越反叛 more and more rebellious. Okay. Again, don't forget the nice sandwich construct that we're seeing over and over again. In English, ever since, and whatever follows just gets sandwiched between 自從 and 之後. Moving on, 從 something 到 something. So literally this means from something to something. Like you'd use it pretty much in the same sense you would in English. So for example, you might be talking to a person. You might be talking to, I don't know, what's another name? Dwayne. And you thought that he was listening to you all along, but then Susie, after you finished rambling, pointed out that Dwayne was not listening to you at all. So she might be saying 佢從開始到而家都好似冇聽你講嘢。So he Dwayne 從開始到而家 from the start to now 都好似 seems to 冇聽你講嘢 to have not listened to you speaking, right? 從 something 到 it could this could be applied to time, but it could also be applied to location as well. So you might say 我從香港飛到加拿大, right? That'd be me. Very simple example. All right, moving on. 嘅時候 this is probably something you might know already, right? And again, just be careful of the word order. In English, you say when I don't know, I go to the park. In Cantonese, you say 我去公園嘅時候. So I go to the park 嘅時候. So just pay attention to that, please. This is a fun one. So imagine that you just signed up for like a tour to, I don't know, what's a good place to go to? Sao Paulo, maybe. And you are listening to the tour guide, saying something to you. Maybe she's like, or he is sending a text message. And he might say in that message, 大家到咗機場嘅時候記得喺 F 嗰一行集合. So let's go up to here 嘅時候. When, okay, remember we have to move it back up when we translate. 大家 everyone 到咗機場 it has arrived at the airport. Remember 記得喺 F 嗰一行 at or in aisle F 集合to assemble together. That's right. Assemble. I'm thinking of the French word rassemblement, but that's not important. Yeah, so travel dialogue. Isn't this fun? Mixing the situational things to say with a little bit of structures in Cantonese. All right, let's see. Oh, and just be careful of this character. This character is usually pronounced hung. That's the written saying anyway, but this is like, this can also be pronounced hong. For example, 銀行 bank, or here 行 row, or to be more specific, an aisle. Okay. Moving on. 雖然 while. So you might be commenting to a friend that you I don't know, maybe you met someone new and you're commenting 雖然我唔識佢so it might be your first time seeing that person 但係佢俾我嘅感覺好舒服 so or maybe imagine you're about to meet that person and you're saying to your friend who's nearby 雖然 even though 我唔識佢 I don't know her 但係but 佢俾我嘅感覺 the feeling that she gives me right 佢俾我 she gives me the feeling again another nice relative clause don't forget the 嘅好舒服 very comfortable okay moving on 因為 because so someone might be asking why you wanted to move you just arrived in Paris and then you're kind of like getting into a little bit deeper into the conversation and you might say 我去巴黎嘅原因 or maybe if you're in Paris you're saying 我嚟巴黎嘅原因係因為我有少少厭倦之前嘅環境 right? So 我嚟巴黎嘅原因 remember another relative clause so you want to switch so the reason I am here in Paris 係因為 is because 我有少少 I'm a little bit 厭倦 tired of growing tired of 之前嘅環境 my previous environment right moving on number 33 numbering doesn't actually matter I think that's definitely going to go over an hour 好似 something 咁 and again on the fly editing as if so you're following that with a metaphor once again with a sandwich construct 佢好似真係想作嘔咁 I don't know, maybe you're at a bar and you can say to another friend that you see a third friend in front of you really looks like he's sick, right? Maybe your friend next to you isn't paying too much attention and you're like a little bit alert, might have drunk too much. So 佢好似seems 真係想作嘔 really want to vomit 咁 so he really seems like as if he's gonna hurl right so again fairly straightforward 好似 something 咁 again sandwich as if whatever comes afterwards gets sandwiched next 唔單止 something 重 not only something but also so again you might be talking about friend or maybe an acquaintance, a colleague that maybe not that well. Might say 佢唔單止 so he sorry do the sentence first 佢唔單止識講廣東話佢仲識講俄文 so 佢 he not only 唔單止識講廣東話 speak Cantonese or she 佢仲識講俄文 she also can speak Russian right Sometimes you see 話 for languages, sometimes you see 文 for languages. It just depends, right? And if you're ever unsure, of course, you can always consult a native speaker. So next, again, a very similar construct, 唔單止 something something, 亦都 not only, but also. So, for example, you might say, parents describing their children's situation, 佢唔單止上堂集中唔到精神，佢瞓覺嘅時候亦都會出現磨牙嘅現象。So 佢he 唔單止 not only 上堂 during class 集中唔到精神。So remember 到 is to be able to. So 集中到精神 is to be able to concentrate. So 唔到 would be to not be able to concentrate, right? 佢瞓覺嘅時候 so when he sleeps 亦都會there's also the case where 出現磨牙嘅現象 so 出現 means appear or to occur 磨牙嘅現象 is phenomenon 磨牙 is bruxism or which is fancy medical term I think for teeth chattering, right? So not only can he not concentrate in class, when he sleeps, he's also displaying signs of bruxism, if that's the correct way to pronounce it. So that is that. Hopefully, once again, very. This is not a sandwich construct. Okay, so 唔單止 is followed by a phrase, and then 亦都 comes up in a second follow-up phrase. Okay, just to make that clear. Number 36, 先至 until. This is usually one of the more awkward things to translate because 先至 itself doesn't actually mean until, but let's have a look at an example to see what that means. So, for example, it might the wife might shout at the husband, 麻煩你喎，唔該你做完家務先至準出去。Or really just 做完家務先至準出去。So 做完家務 after finishing chores 先至準出去 you are allowed to go out. So if you add stuff in until in there, it doesn't actually make a lot of sense. Finish chores until you're allowed to go out. What I usually like to do when teaching students is I usually like to translate it this way. You're done with your chores, and it is not until or it is only after you're done with your chores that you're allowed to go out, right? So this is 先至. Again, the word order is a little bit funny if you're coming from English, but yeah, this should still be doable. So once again, it is not until you finish your chores. Again, I want to switch that, right? It is not until goes after, finish your chores goes before. 準出去 and whatever comes after just comes after. Moving on. 一 something something 就 something something. No sooner something something than or as soon as. That could work as well. So for example, you might be recalling what you did in the day with your family, and you went to your friend's house, and you might say 我一入到佢屋企就聞到一大陣貓味. So as soon as 我一入到佢屋企就 right. As soon as I 入到佢屋企 entered, okay. So this is 到 not 到. This is not the capability 到. 佢屋企 his place or his house. So this doesn't translate to anything. Remember, it's just part of the construct. 聞到. Now this does means you can, right? I'm able to smell 一大陣貓味, a huge or strong like cat smell. Right? 陣 is the measure word for odor or smell. So it's something like, I don't know, 一陣薑味, like a very strong ginger odor, or 一陣, I don't know, 蒜頭味, a very strong garlic odor. So, next we have 唔係 something something 而係 something something. So this again, this is not a sandwich construct. This is a 唔係 phrase, comma, and then 而係 separate phrase. Okay. So, for example, the family mom talking to daughter, and she's like saying, who's just recently got herself a new boyfriend. So she might be saying 我唔係對你男朋友嘅家境有偏見，而係覺得佢嘅人格好有問題。So 我唔係 I am not 對你男朋友嘅家境about your boyfriend's family background 有偏見 to have bias. So I'm not biased against your boyfriend's family background. 而係覺得 instead I think that 佢嘅人格 his personality or he 好有問題is problematic. So there's a certain element of emphasis in there as well, if you can hear that. So it's not A, but B, right? So you misunderstood me, right? So this is kind of like, you can imagine already, you might use this or hear this in an argument, right? This is what you said. No, that's not what I said. This is what I said. That no, I think you heard it wrong. I didn't say that. I actually said that. Or I said that, but I didn't mean that. I actually mean this, right? So, moving on, 況且, besides. I think this is where we have a bit of a longer example. That's right. Excuse me. So, you might your friend might just recently, you guys got talking for whatever reason, and he's telling you that he has fallen for a girl, but he's never really talked that much to that girl before, so you're kind of like curious, and you might say something like 你同佢好似冇咩共通點，況且你同佢又唔熟，點解你會無啦啦鍾意咗佢嘅呢？ So you and her, and talk to your friend, you and her 好似seems to 冇咩共通點 not have any common point or anything in common with her, right? 況且 besides 你同佢又唔熟 you and her aren't that close, aren't that acquainted. Besides, you guys barely know each other. 點解 why 你會 would you 無啦啦 out of sudden 鍾意咗佢嘅咧？Why would you all of a sudden fall in love with her, say that you like her, right? So a couple of vocab points here. Things in common is 共通點. 共通 is a commonality. 共 share 通 through 點 point. Kind of makes sense, right? 無啦啦 is a fun Cantonese expression, does not exist in Mandarin or in like written Chinese. 無啦啦 means out of the blue or all of a sudden. 鍾意咗佢，鍾意咗佢 is like a fixed expression. You can't like break it down in terms of like tenses or whatnot. 鍾意咗佢 means like to start liking someone, right? Moving on, 再加上 in addition. So we really ramp it up on the sentence length here. A friend might be frustrated that, he might be explaining something and you don't understand. It's like, why don't you understand what I'm saying? And then you equally as frustrated might respond, 我唔識讀心術，再加上我又唔係你，我點知你到底喺度諗緊啲咩呢？ It's like 我唔識 I don't know 讀心術 the art of reading minds. 再加上 in addition plus 我又唔係你 I am not you. 我點知 how would I know 你到底喺度諗緊啲咩呢？你 forget about 到底 for now. 你喺度 諗緊，you thinking 啲咩呢 What? So to put it all together, I don't know how to read minds. 我唔識讀心術，再加上我又唔係你 ，plus I am also not you。咁我點知 ？So how am I supposed to know 你到底 what the heck you're 喺度諗緊啲咩呢 Thinking. All right. The word order is a little bit strange when comparing the two languages, so but there we go. Yes, so if you're wondering how to say read minds, 讀心術 would be one way of saying it. Yeah. This is actually a very Japanese, I feel, influence thing. Like in Japanese, I could totally imagine people saying 讀心術. Kind of like, and it's just, I feel it's a whole Naruto thing going on. Like there's something, 影分身の術, and then it's like, 術 is like shut in Japanese, right? It means technique. So anyway, that's just a sidebar, if you will. Moving on, 同樣地 likewise. Again, we're starting to see that these sentences, these can be used like when you have multiple sentences, and like in English, you wouldn't just like give an example of likewise, with just one, with just this part. You have to kind of like give a bit of context. So imagine the context here is you're teaching a class, maybe seniors, how to use computers and iPads, right? Or maybe you're at Apple and you're giving like a live workshop on your Genius Bar Apple person, and you're giving like a workshop on how to use iPads and computers. So you might be teaching the group of students how to send files between these two devices. So you might say, 我哋頭先將個 file 由電腦彈咗去 iPad。同樣地，你都可以由 iPad 過翻啲數據去部電腦嗰度。So we just now 將個 file 由電腦彈咗去。So remember we talked briefly about 將 like a long time ago back in Cantonese word order. We say that's one way, one kind of like big exception that breaks the SVO order. So and it turns it into SOV. So 將 we subject 將個 file object the thing that you're working on 由電腦彈咗去 action, which means to send iPad. So we just now learned how to implied transmit a file from the computer to the iPad. 同樣地 likewise, 你都可以 we can also or you can also 由 iPad from the iPad 過翻啲數據 to transmit data back 去部電腦 to the computer 嗰度。Okay. So some people may be asking, why is 彈 here? So to the astute reader who knows what 彈means to flick, right? So why do we flick a file? That doesn't make any sense. Well, it turns out that it's actually a colloquial way of saying to send like a file from one device to another, or like from two people, between two people. So 由電腦彈咗個 file 去 iPad 嗰度. So I literally just transmitted or flicked a file, which kind of makes sense, right? Bluetooth, short distance to the iPad. Okay. Moving on. 不過 something 都 nevertheless. For example, you might be married to someone from a different country, I don't know, to someone who's Polish, and you're just lamenting to a friend, this interracial marriage thing is hard. You might say, 不過其實我點樣諗都完全諗唔到，原來跨國婚姻係會衍生出咁多問題嘅。不過 but 其實 actually 我點樣諗 however I think about it 都完全諗唔到 I can completely not think that 原來 actually 跨國婚姻 interracial marriage 係會衍生出 will make 咁多問題 these so many problems come up 衍生嘅。So yeah, you can just reference English translation. 衍生 is usually has been a word that I consider a little bit difficult to translate for a while, but there we go. Anyway, useful phrase might be 點樣諗到 however I think of it, I still, or yeah, however much I thought about it, I still did not think 完全諗唔到 or could not conceive that blah blah blah. Okay. Moving on, 而唔係 instead of. Again, these mappings that really I rely very much on my experience with these two languages instead of consulting like a dictionary or something. Again, the words that really aren't talked about, but as you can probably imagine, fairly important words, right? You might it's not too difficult to imagine a situation where you might need to use instead of. So, for example, I'm not so sure if this is an example you'll ever use, but again, you might be a friend might be talking to you, and it's like saying about another friend, about the topic of what animal he likes, and your friend is saying to you, you got it wrong, right? 我諗你記錯啦，佢最鍾意嘅動物係倉鼠而唔係老鼠。It's not kind of similar, right? They both got 鼠 in them, but it's a different kind of 鼠. 鼠 means mouse, by the way, generically. So 我諗你記錯啦. I think you have remembered it wrong, right? 記錯, remember wrong. 佢最鍾意嘅動物, his favorite animal. Favorite animals are 倉鼠, hamsters, 而唔係老鼠 and not mice. And maybe not a situation that might ever come up, but it's an interesting example, hopefully. Moving on, 代 instead of. So this is a bit different, I guess. So if let's just have a look at an example. 佢嗰日有可能會同個 client 見面，咁所以你最好都係揾個人代佢出席呢個活動。So she 佢嗰日 on that day 有可能會 may 同個 client 見面 meet with the client， 所以 so 你最好都係 you'd better 揾個人 find a person 代instead of her or to take her place 代佢出席呢個活動 to attend this function, right? And I kind of included that, the translation as instead of, because you're going in the stead of someone else, right? So that's what it means. But if you just looked at that, you probably wouldn't know what that means. So again, this is why we're doing so many of these examples, and there are more actually in the blog post. So hopefully you'll find the time to actually go through it. So all you do is a very simple 代佢 to 代 can singularly mean replace. So you replace or in her stead, take her place. 代佢. Whoever you're taking the place of comes after. Whoever's place is being taken, that's right, comes after. So for example, 我代你 would be I take your stead. I do something in your stead, right? So, anywho, moving on. 如果唔係 otherwise, if not, kind of makes sense, right? So, I don't know why you'd say this. It was just like the first example that popped up in my mind. So maybe it's a friend, right? Someone you just met, and he kind of notices that you pat your trouser pockets every once in a while, and you explain that by saying我每次出門嘅時候都一定會拍一下自己嘅褲袋，如果唔係我會好驚自己唔記得咗帶鎖匙出街。So 我每次出門嘅時候 whenever or when every time I go out, so whenever I go out, 都一定會 I'll definitely 拍一下自己嘅褲袋 I'll pat, right? 拍一下 to give it a pat 自己嘅褲袋 my trouser pocket 如果唔係 otherwise 我會好驚 I'll be afraid that 自己唔記得咗 I have forgotten to 帶鎖匙出街 to bring my keys out. Okay. Nothing overly important or difficult here I want to elaborate on, so we're going to move on. Though also, this should be fairly straightforward. You can probably imagine the scenario for this. Sorry 我都唔知道佢而家個人喺邊度。你有冇問過佢契媽？ So you might be asked by someone who's finding someone else, but you don't know where that person is either, right? So you might say that. So sorry 我都唔知道。I also don't know 佢而家個人喺邊度。Oh, this should be 而家 shouldn't it? Excuse me. He now 個人。Where his body is where. So I also don't know where he is currently. 你有冇 have you or have you not 問過 asked his godmother? Apparently that could be a possibility. Someone who knows where he is. Strange person to ask, but there we go. Moving on. 就算 something something 都 even though something something it's okay. For example, someone tried to help you but they didn't really manage to help, but you're grateful anyway. So you might say back to that person, 就算你幫唔到手，我都已經好開心㗎啦。So even if 就算你幫唔到手 you can't help, or you're unable to offer me assistance, right? 幫手 is to help, 幫唔到手is to not be able to help. 我都已經 I also already 好開心㗎啦 very happy. Right. So once again, this is like fixed. But this isn't a sandwich contract. Remember, this is like 就算 phrase A, 都 and then something 都 in phrase 2. Right. So 就算你幫唔到手 even if you can't help, I'm already 我都已經好開心㗎啦 very happy. Okay, moving on. 已經 already. Again, not really a conjunction, but important. So we included it. Loose definition of conjunctions, guys. So again, you might be someone at the workplace and you see someone who's like running over to you, who's trying to find someone who just left, right? And you might say to the person who just ran here, 你嚟遲咗一步啦，佢幾分鐘之前已經走咗啦。你嚟遲咗一步 you are late by a step, right? You literally just missed him. 佢幾分鐘之前 he a few minutes ago 已經走咗啦 already left. Okay. Moving on. Wasn't that 已經? Very strange. Excuse me. Duplicated it. 仲未 not yet. Moving on. Again, fairly straightforward, but again, very, very important how you guys know how to say this in Cantonese. For example, you might say, you might be serving guests and you're cooking, right? But and things aren't quite ready yet, and people are getting hungry, so you're like saying 唔好意思啊，條倉魚仲未煎好，不如上咗個湯先，好唔好？唔好意思啊，I'm sorry. 條倉魚仲未煎好 The pomfrets the pomfrets, has not been pan fried yet, right? 仲未 has not yet been 煎好 pan fried, right? 不如 why don't we 上咗個湯先 why don't I serve the soup first? 好唔好? How's that? Right. Yep, nothing really important to mention. So 仲未 fairly straightforward, I think, in terms of application. Moving on, we're almost there, guys. Just bear with me a little bit more. 即管 despite. So, for example, you might be talking about foods that you like with a friend, and you're sitting in a restaurant and you see, what other people are eating, and you happen to see 水煮魚, which is like boiled fish. So, 即管我未食過水煮魚，我見到咁鬼死厚嗰層油都反胃。So, despite the fact, 即管我未食過 I have not yet, I've never had or eaten 水煮魚 boiled fish. 我見到after seeing or I can see 咁鬼死厚嗰層油。A layer of oil that's this freaking thick. There's like an implied 嘅時候. So when I see a layer of oil that's this freaking thick, 都反胃, I already feel nauseated, right? Like I want to vomit, right? 反胃. 胃 is like stomach, 反 is like anti. So anti-stomach is like stuff going back up. So stuff going back up is vomit. So yeah, 水煮, you can have a look, you can Google it, I think, for a better idea of what that looks like. But yeah, that might be the only point of clarification, but I'm not really in a position to clarify. So, since there's Google, which is like all-knowing. Moving on, UK, something 不如. Do we have like an idiom example here? Yeah, that's right. UK 不如 is not used as much, unless you're very eloquent in Cantonese, but I thought I might include it just for the heck of it, and because it's still something you might use, it's rather than something it's better to something. But I feel like the usage in English is a little bit more frequent than its counterpart in Chinese. So let's have a look. 與其臨淵羨魚，不如退而結網。So don't try to even mimic this. This is literally an idiom. So I'm not really expecting any Cantonese students to start writing classical Chinese anytime soon. But just for reference, something that you might remember and use when the situation comes up. So rather than 與其臨淵羨魚, let's try to break that down. It's just all Chinese anyway. 臨 means to approach. 淵 means like a cliff or some sort of what was the word? I don't remember. Like a very steep place. 羨 means like to look enviously, right? 羨慕, right? To be envious of. 魚 fish, to look enviously at fish. At the edge, you can say 不如. It's better to 退 fall back 而 and then 結網 to weave a net. So the whole thing together, rather than to stand by the edge of the pond or wherever fish are, like back in the days, right? It's a thing to be, imagine like an emperor's garden. Like there are going to be ponds with fish. It's like a sign of luxury, apparently. So rather than to just stand by the pond and long for the fish, it's better to go home and weave a net, right? So instead of just thinking about what you can have, could have, and all that, it's better to do something about it and prep, right, when the opportunity comes and grab it. Right? There's no point just thinking about it forever. Makes sense, right? Anyway, I'm last person to be talking about self-help. But moving on, 52, 不但止 blah 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 反而 not only instead he actually did something even better or even worse, right? So, like for example, this is like a self-explaining example. I think it's a fairly well-chosen one, if I can say so myself. 佢停咗食藥之後，身體不但止冇變差，反而有好轉嘅跡象。So, 佢停咗食藥之後 after he stopped taking or he stopped eating the medicine, his body 身體不但止冇變差。So not only did his body not get worse, because that's what you'd expect, right? If you stop taking medication. 反而 on the other hand, 好似 or instead, it actually seemed like it had 好轉嘅跡象 signs, okay, 跡象 of improving. So again, the entire thing together, you could just read it yourself in English, right? So that's how it used 不但止, okay, 反而. So again, these are two separate like sentences, phrases that you can link together into one longer sentence. See, do you see the importance of conjunctions now, guys? For example, if you didn't have that, you'd have to break that up into two sentences and it just sounds weird. So 佢停咗食藥. Okay, full stop. Because 之後 is kind of like a conjunction, right? 身體冇變差，身體有好轉嘅跡象. How boring, these sentences, how bland. He stopped taking medication. His body didn't get worse. His body showed signs of improvement. Doesn't this sound a lot better, right? So conjunctions, linking words are very important, guys. We're closing to the end, so bear with me for just a little bit more. 反而 instead, so we can actually use that in isolation. Doesn't have to be part of a construct. I don't know. This doesn't really have much of a scenario. 上次嘅失敗反而令到佢下定決心要發奮圖強，將勤補拙. So you might, maybe you're commenting on a colleague who just maybe didn't perform as well during this quarter or something. So, or actually failed to reach the benchmarks. So, let's say that 上次嘅失敗 is previous failure. On the other hand, instead of making him depressed or discouraged, 反而令到佢 it actually made him. We're going to talk about 令, so don't worry about that for now. 令到佢 it made him 下定決心 to become determined to 發奮圖強 to work hard, to set out to work hard, 將勤補拙 in order to overcome I used she in this example to overcome her weaknesses then. Excuse me. And if you guys are wondering how do you tell gender? This is just an arbitrary choice, guys. This is no it's not just like magically coming from somewhere. There's no way to tell unless there's context. So yeah. New vocab maybe collocation 下定決心 to set out to do something. Okay. 發奮圖強 is kind of like I think that's considered an idiom. To set out, with dogged determination to work hard, right? 將勤補拙 to use effort to make up for one's shortcomings. This is also an idiom. Learning a lot here today, aren't we, guys? Moving on. 之所以係因為 the reason I did this was because. Having a look at an example, a long one. So this might be something like a language teacher might say, a deliberate insistence to disallow his or her students, their students, to take notes. So the teacher might say, 我之所以喺課堂上堅持唔俾學生寫筆記，係因為我相信學識講好一種語言，最重要嘅係要鼓勵學生去講，活學活用。So 我之所以 the reason I 喺課堂上 in class 堅持 insist on 唔俾學生 not allowing students to 寫筆記 to jot down notes is because 係因為我相信 I believe that 學識講好一種語言 to learn how to speak a language 最重要嘅係 the most important aspect is 要鼓勵學生去講 is to encourage 鼓勵 is to encourage 學生去講 encourage students to speak 活學活用 and then use it and adapt it in real life. Right? 活學活用 is vocabulary wise we're looking like a fixed I'm not so sure if you can consider it an idiom per se, but it's it's a fixed four-lettered construct. So it means to flexibly learn and flexibly use. All right, I don't think there's anything else to clarify here. So moving on. 除咗 something 之外 apart from. So we have again very generic example. 我除咗唔食得辣之外 so this is a sandwich construct. So apart from I 唔食得辣嘢 cannot eat spicy foods 我基本上 I basically 乜都食得 can eat anything. Don't worry about translations of anything, everything, and all that kind of stuff. That is like a category in itself, and I think I've got that covered in a different lesson later on. Just kind of like keep that at the back of your mind for now, and just like tack on a question mark. And how does that work in Cantonese? It turns out it's actually not that difficult, so don't worry too much about it. Moving on. Counting down, guys, the penultimate conjunction for today, 以免. Actually, I think we already did that. That was last, wasn't it? Well, another example might be good as well. The more the better, right? 我勸你唔好喺屋企過咗8點之後練琴，以免嘈到隔離鄰舍。So I urge you 我勸你唔好 don't 喺屋企 at home 過咗8點之後 after 8 o'clock 練琴 to practice playing the piano 以免lest or in order to avoid to prevent 嘈到disrupting or to make noise to be a nuisance to 隔離鄰舍 your neighbors. And finally, we have 相反地 or conversely. Again, this is very used only when you really want to speak Cantonese very eloquently, but I just included it in there just for your reference in case you do want to use it. And well, here it is. Oh, and I actually forgot. This is actually too long to include because, like, conversely, usually even if you use it in English, right, it points to fairly like two fairly long sentences. And you want to contrast. So I've included that in the blog post. So if you guys want to, look at the last example, please go to this link as usual. You probably guessed by now what the link is, cantolounge.com/Cantonese-conjunctions, to have a look at the full example. All right, that is it of our very long journey, guys. Thank you so much for sticking up so far with me. I don't know how many of you guys are actually going to watch this right until the very end of this video. And if you think that this was helpful to learning Cantonese in any way, not just in terms of conjunctions, maybe you picked up a word here or there, please hit the like button if you found it helpful. And as usual, if you have any questions or comments, you're very welcome to leave them below this video. All right, thank you so much, guys, once again, and I will see you guys very soon, not only for the Cantonese grammar series. Oh, I really hate that word grammar now. I actually want to call it like the Cantonese structure series, but that sounds weird. But also the other videos I'm hoping to make in the future. So hopefully you guys will stick with me, and there's going to be more interesting and better content in the future, and hopefully it's not going to be this long. Which is something I have thought about at length. believe it or not. All right. Thank you so much once again, guys. I really appreciate it. And I'll see you guys next time. Cheers.